when I first started doing theater as an actor in New York, so specific, I can speak to more that specific place and time. Um, there were very few roles for Arabs at all in the theater. And theater and film and television sort of would overlap as an actor, right? Because you're auditioning for all of them usually in New York. And most of the roles for men were for terrorists, and but they at least had more roles because of that.
Yeah.
And then as my friend Maha Shahlawi would joke, like then there's the wife of the terrorist or the girlfriend of the terrorist or the mother of the terrorist or the daughter of um
Yeah.
so that was sort of the limitation, and almost always in full hijab, usually like tragically wailing over some loss, just a very not three-dimensional human being. Um, or on occasion, a sort of more orientalized, sexualized,
Mm.
object of desire in some way. There were definitely amazing playwrights. There were theater companies like Silk Road in Chicago and Golden Thread in San Francisco that had been around already. I'm forgetting the exact years, but certainly before I became a professional theater maker. And um, in New York, there really wasn't a company like that. And so Maha Shahlawi sent this message out onto this listserv at the time that existed. Maybe it still does, called Arab New York. This was kind of pre-social media, the listserv thing. And it was like, hey, are there any other Arab American actors in New York? And about seven of us, maybe eight of us responded. I'm like, hey, yeah. And I remember at the time being like, wow, there are eight of us. That's so awesome,
Yeah.
Um, and we started meeting, and that was in June of 2001. Yeah. Um, spring of somewhere in spring of 2001. And we, right before that, had decided, I think it was right before that, that we decided we wanted to start interviewing people about what comes to mind when you hear the word Arab, and creating like a documentary theater piece about that. And so we did that in the immediate wake of 9/11 in New York and other places based on connections we had and folks we found to interview. Um, and that piece became what we called Sajil, record, based on the poem by Mahmoud Darwish, which was suggested by Nazla Saeed, who was one of our members. Record, I am an Arab, is the refrain of that poem. And so we made this piece, Sajil, record. Omar Mutwalli and I edited that, and from these interviews that we did, and we performed it for the Fringe Festival in New York, and we won the Best of Fringe Ensemble Award and all these things, and it was this very beautiful moment of coming together as a collective and creating the first Arab American theater collective in the process, called Nibras, which means sort of lantern. And that really began the sort of the base and the foundation of the Middle Eastern American, Middle Eastern North African, Southwest Asian North African, sort of Mina Swana American theater community in New York. And from that, Nibras, after several years, we did a lot of panels and workshops and readings and developmental things. We created a festival called Aswat that I co-produced with Catherine Correa from NYU and the folks at New York Theater Workshop, where we brought together like 8 different playwrights who were Palestinian origin, from all over the world, along with like 30 actors, and created this festival of works from and about Palestine. And that was really, I think, one of the first of its kind in New York to do that, and really brought together a lot of folks into the community. Some of those actors then became part of the cast for Aftermath, for example, because they were introduced in New York Theater Workshop through that or through Nibras. So it really, that and the comedy festival really helped create this growing community. And from that, Maha Shahlawi, who was one of the founding members of Nibras, co-founded with Lamis Isaac and Nancy Vitale Noor Theater. And that continues to be this thriving, wonderful Middle Eastern, North African, Swana American theater community. And so that for me is a trajectory that I have seen, is how a very small group of people just reaching out and saying, we're figuring this out. We want to be in community with each other. As we're building our own careers, we want to be building our community. And the sort of folks who stayed committed to that